Greetings and welcome back to our YouTube channel. And today I want to talk about communication challenges for individuals on the autism spectrum. And I'm talking about this communication, looking back, looking at my son's journey ever since we knew about his condition, about his diagnosis, and the journey that we have walked, the lessons that I've drawn from his life, from his needs, and from the support that he requires with regards to communication. My son, today we are counting down. He's going to be turning 12 in 5 days' time. So we're really counting down, and it's 5 days to go as I'm recording this video. And today, the reason why I want to talk about communication challenges for individuals on the autism spectrum. There is a misconception that if an individual has speech, they don't have challenges. Yet, communication is not only verbal, does not only end just because a person can open their mouth and verbalize. That is not the end of communication. Let's look at the definition of communication itself. What is communication? Communication is the process of exchanging information. Communication is the process of exchanging information, ideas, or messages between individuals, groups, or entities through a common system, a common sign, or behavior, which can involve sending and receiving messages, for example, verbal or non-verbal, such as speech, writing, gestures, or facial expressions. It also involves encoding and decoding thoughts into messages and interpreting the message that is being sent. So that is what communication involves. It also involves sharing the meaning, understanding, interpreting what the sender of the message has said, and being able to digest it and make sense out of it, and then be able to respond accordingly. That is communication. Now, when we talk about individuals on the autism spectrum, communication challenges are very, very common. And individuals may require a tailored support. When we say a tailored support, when I go to my tailor, I already go wanting something specifically for me. So when we say tailored support, the way we support my son for his communication needs might not be the same way we support the next autistic individuals with his communication needs. Because one, they are individuals. Two, they have unique needs. They all are at different levels of support requirements. So we need to facilitate effective communication by supporting them individually. So I've realized that there's a misconception that as long as we say this particular individual is autistic and they are verbal, then it means there's no communication challenges. It's not like that. It's not like that. So today I want to take you down the memory lane, take you into our journey with my son who is autistic, and so that you see that communication challenges are real, even in verbal autistic individuals. I've also met so many individuals who are on the autism spectrum, who are verbal, who still present communication challenges. So we need to separate being non-verbal and communication challenges. Those are two aspects So let's get into it before I get lost in this communication. So number one, I want to talk about the difficulty in understanding the social language that is very common in autistic individuals who are verbal. Even if they can speak fluently, many autistic individuals struggle with the social side of communication, like reading between lines and knowing the appropriate thing to say or do. They might take things literally. They don't know how to read things, how to read between lines. And for example, if somebody says, break a leg, they might worry about it. And they might think somebody has really broken their leg. They can miss sarcasm. They can miss the jokes. And they might not realize somebody is bored or actually upset by their behavior. And they also sometimes don't realize that they are making those people around them uncomfortable. For example, if a classmate says, nice for you, Chris, to finally show up, they will just give an honest answer. I was late because of traffic, or there was a car crash, not realizing that it was sarcasm, not realizing that it's not that deep. So those are some of one of the communication challenges that individuals on the autism spectrum who are verbal, they face those challenges. I remember one morning when we were getting ready for school with my son, and I said to me, if you do that, you end up not going to school because you're going to hurt yourself, and we'll just call the school and cancel. And to him, we had already called the school and told them that he's not going to school. So sometimes you just have to say things exactly what you mean. You don't have to say, oh, use riddles, idioms when you are communicating with individuals on the autism spectrum, because what you say is what they literally understand. And the second thing I want to talk about is expressing the emotions clearly. Sometimes autistic individuals, they feel very strong emotions, but they find it hard to explain that using words. So they can have a strong feeling, a strong emotional feeling about something, but then they struggle. Not that they don't have the vocabulary, but the ability, that ability to be able to articulate how they are feeling and express it exactly the way they are feeling. They are not able. Most of them are not able to do that. They can feel strong emotions about a certain subject, about a certain thing, about a certain person, and they won't be able to find the right words quickly. So they get frustrated and people end up not understanding them. They may go quiet, use short answers, or repeat certain phrases when overwhelmed. Not because they want to repeat those phrases. And they can also say, no, I'm okay, I'm fine. Yet deep down, they are not okay at all. So these are some of the challenges with regards to communication that individuals on the autism spectrum often meet, and people end up misinterpreting them. They think it's everything that they see or they hear from autistic individuals that is there to see and hear. Yet most of the time, it's not everything you see or hear that it is what it is. Then the third challenge that I want to talk about is understanding the tone, the body, language, and facial expressions. Autistic individuals might not automatically pick up on non-verbal cues. They don't pick up that easily. Non-verbal cues, like someone's face showing they are sad or annoyed, they don't pick it up. They might not make much eye contact or find it difficult to make eye contact at all. And sometimes they find it very uncomfortable to look at people in the eye. They may talk in a flat, monotone voice without noticing it. And for them, it's okay. Sometimes they might seem blunt or rude when they are just being honest. And then we say they're very rude. They just call things the way they are. They don't have a what we can call a nicer way to say, what you said was okay, but you said it in a very rude way. What you said was fine, but your approach, that's the feedback that end up being available for their reactions or for their responses. They are blunt. They don't have time to make their responses more appealing to our communication palette. And the other challenge, okay, let me use an example before I go to the fourth challenge about communication that I want to discuss. If someone looks annoyed and they might not notice. So autistic individuals, some of them, they might not notice that you are annoyed. And they keep talking about something and the other person doesn't want to hear about it. So you actually have to tell them, you know what, I am not interested, and you have to emphasize that. So people end up assuming that they are very cold, they are very rude. No, they just doesn't pick. Remember, they are living in their own world where they look at life and things differently, where their brain processes information completely different. So everything is not about how you see things. Sometimes the other person on the other side is seeing a complete opposite of what you are seeing. And because these individuals are autistic, they definitely have their own perception about life and ideas and things. Then the other example, the other item I want to talk about, the communication challenge that verbal autistic individuals face is starting and keeping conversations going. They might have problems starting a conversation, and sometimes they can have a problem after starting the conversation, keeping it going. They struggle. They run out of things to say. Even when they are fully verbal, many autistic kids find back and forth conversations very tricky. They might go off topic or talk a lot about their special interests, like trends, games, maps, or they might not know what to say to keep the conversation going. And they prefer talking about facts rather than feelings. They want to talk about something that is common sense or that can be researched instead of the variable things like emotions. For example, if you ask them, how was school? Chris might just say, good. Or start describing a bus route instead of telling a story about the school experience. Sometimes you ask him, how was school? Then he will say it was fine. Then he will start laughing about something else completely different. Because according to him, he has already given you an update of how school was. Then the fifth thing I want to talk about, the communication challenge that the verbal autistic individuals face, is the sensory overload affecting communication. If there is so much movement, there's so much noise or change, it can even make their talking harder. You can end up thinking they are regressing in speech. No, it's just sensory overload at that particular time. Sometimes loud or busy environments like airports, classrooms, bigger classrooms, or supermarkets, they can cause stress, making things more difficult for them to communicate properly and to express themselves. During an overload, a verbal autistic individual might go silent and echo phrases that are not even relevant. And they might also need time and space to calm down from that overload. For example, in an airport, your brother might avoid answering questions or repeat what someone else says because everything feels too much and confusing. Then the sixth thing I want to talk about is the anxiety about communication itself. Sometimes autistic children worry about saying the wrong thing and not being understood. They might rehearse sentences in their head before speaking. They can seem quiet or shy around new people. I remember when we visited one of my aunties, Chris did not talk much at first, even though he can communicate, just because it was a new environment and unpredictable for me. How do we help these individuals so that they become more and more comfortable in communicating throughout different phases of their life? We can give extra time to respond. That is one way to support these individuals. We allow them to take their time to respond. Don't give them pressure to respond in a conversation. Use clear, direct language. Use clear, direct language when you're communicating. Avoid hints and sarcasm. That does not help with individuals on the autism spectrum to communicate effectively. And also allow them to use interests to connect. Talk about things that they enjoy. Talk about their favorite things. And keep routines intact. Even if you have changed the environment, keep the routine intact because that makes them feel very safe. Explain changes ahead of time so that they manage their expectations. So these are the four things that I want us to remember. Give extra time to respond. Use clear, direct language. No hints or sarcasm in communicating with individuals on the autism spectrum. The third one is let them use their interests to communicate. And the fourth one, but not last, is keep routines and explain changes ahead of time. Always. Thank you very much for watching this far. And please leave in your comment, what did you think about the communication styles? What do you think we should keep doing to support individuals on the autism spectrum? Those who are verbal, whom we assume that if they are verbal, that means they don't have any communication challenges. Tell me your thoughts. I would love to hear what you think about verbal autistic individuals and how best you think we can support them. Looking forward to hearing from you in the comment section. And see you in the next video. Bye.